As a Packers fan, there are 3 things that I absolutely hate. 1, when we play the 49ers in the playoffs.
We cannot beat this motherfucking team for shit!
2, seeing other teams wear our cheeseheads after they beat us. 3, seeing an absolute elegant, game-changing, generational player, hunk of a man, play for the Minnesota Vikings. I yak even as I say this, but the Vikings got an absolute GOAT. No, not me. Justin Jefferson is the name, and one you should try to remember. This guy has been an absolute unit on the field as a top wide receiver and a strong link in Kirk's chain. This is a man who in only 3 years was fighting to top Megatron's single-season receiving record, which is damn near 2,000. This is a man who forces teams to double-team him because one-on-one, you are toast. This is a man who is cold even in the hottest of moments. This is a man who put the gritty back in style. This is a man who is him, and who we will be covering today, with his story, skill, and everything in between, to find out how he's become one of the best wide receivers in this current league. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and let's get it! The journey started on June 16th, 1999 in St. Rose, Louisiana, where our boy Jefferson was immediately born into greatness. You see, while most of us go to normal colleges like Fire Ants University, yes, it's a real college, go look it up, the Jeffersons were in fact an LSU family. In fact, one of his 2 eldest brothers that played at LSU, Jordan Jefferson, was a starting LSU quarterback that went on to appear in the national championship for the LSU Tigers. Their family was so intertwined in the program that Justin used to sleep over at a house that was owned with, at the time, the current head coach of the LSU Tigers, Les Miles, when Jefferson was a kid. Even as a child, this guy was the epitome of the saying, doesn't matter what you know, but who you know. So next time you think you have plugs, no you don't. Anyways, with so much influence, it'd be easy to assume that Jeff lived and breathed football. And he did, as he had dreams of the NFL as a kid. Yet, his body must have missed the memo because his physical attributes did not support his football dreams, at least not starting out. When heading into high school at Jefferson High School, as a freshman, he was just 5'7" and 125 pounds, which might be big to grandma, but not to the 245-pound senior linebacker looking to tear your heart out. Basically, his stature was not even close to being big enough to get on that field without being laid out, like Ray Rice's girlfriend. And from that was set aside for most of his high school career. Yet after a sports injury put him in the doctor's office, the doctor claimed that Justin was on the verge of a growth spurt. Jeff's body must have heard the good news from the doctor and decided to let my man grow some. And grew he did. My man shot up 4 inches and gained 53 fucking pounds for his senior year, and he took his growth into full effect. He blew up in time for his senior season. He went from a kid that was barely on the field to an explosive playmaker, which is impressive when his school was and still is an honest-to-God powerhouse for football, with plenty of other explosive playmakers to pass to. Yet he was still a leading receiver. He recorded 44 receptions, 956 yards, and 9 touchdowns as a senior, and was also ranked number 76 in Louisiana in 2017. And was even named New Orleans Male Athlete of the Week one time. So yeah, his senior year went pretty good to say the least. Although his last season was promising, he only had one real good year worth mentioning, and was only rated 2 stars. Some sites didn't even rate him. Even with his insanely good footage he had, it was also insanely slim amount of footage too. Not to mention he still needed credits in classes in order for him to be eligible to even play football. He became him just a little too late. Besides a couple D2 schools and Northwestern, no other big schools were planning on giving him a shot. Yet, like this title says, Justin Jefferson is him. In matter of fact, thanks to him being who he is, the Jefferson name had a whole lot of weight in a school that mattered most. After a bit of waiting, the LSU Tigers did offer a hand after he completed his needed high school credits. and he would do his entire football career in college at LSU, which honestly, pause. Perfect lessons for the kids here. No matter your skill, dedication, or hard work, if someone has a big enough name, you might as well just give up if they're trying to go against you. But if you do got that name, you're at the top of the list, baby. Thankfully, though, this would be the last time Jefferson would ever need to use his last name to get a shot at playing, as he was about to show everyone what the Jefferson name was really all about. Now, to skip through freshman year when we had the virgin Daddy Etling at QB and Jeff only having an awkward random 4-yard rushing stat, we can dive straight into 2018 with the Chad Joe Burrow at QB and our boy Jefferson finally showing that he was bigger than just his name. Sophomore year was ludicrous. Jeff was almost like a completely different player. I mean, one might say when you have such a chisel-jawed Chad like Joe Burrow throwing you the ball, numbers are bound to go up. But that really wasn't the whole case. JJ was seriously putting in that work. And to prove this, even with dudes around him like Stephen Sullivan, Derek Dillon, Jamar Chase, he still managed to come up with 875 yards, which by the way, that was double the yards that any other wide receiver on his team got that season. Plus he got 6 total touchdowns. So yeah, he was obviously above his counterparts in terms of production. And the best part was, the scholarship, it was no longer an awkward feel-bad handout like LSU owed the Jeffersons some money. But now it held weight for a real talented player, as he was officially recognized as him. Well, let's slow down. At least a potential him. It seemed he was good, but still far from what they needed in order to go against teams like Alabama. He wasn't bad by any means. In fact, there wasn't a whole lot of criticisms about him. It's just that he simply needed to develop more. And though they lost 2 that season, and the team lost in terms of going to any major bowl game, Jefferson did manage to win individually, by the way of showing that his talent can take him far. Little did he know just how much farther this talent was going to take him next season. You know, looking back at 2019, that was something special, man. That LSU football team is the kind of team I have always enjoyed watching. An immovable defense and an unstoppable offense working together to basically strangle any team that comes their way. Their team was the team to beat, even to the rivals of the sibling canoodlers of the Crimson Tide. Even they viewed LSU as their team to beat. And you can bet your sweet bum that Jefferson played a large part to LSU's new and scary reputation. With already in his second game, he got 3 touchdowns and 186 yards. And he didn't slow down either, he continued this streak, averaging at least 1 touchdown the whole season, besides 4 games. Which, speaking of 4, I am sure I do not need to remind you when Jefferson got 4 touchdowns and 227 yards in the Peach Bowl, when the Tigers absolutely slapped the goofy out of the Oklahoma Sooners. He had his best college game in his life, and after that game, this iconic pick would spread like wildfire. In a game that would get them to the big showdown for that ever-elusive trophy, he not only showed up, but put the team on his back. While in the next game, they did beat the Clemson Tigers in my beautiful Trevor Lawrence. Jefferson himself got 106 yards and no touchdowns. Good, not great. But trust me, there was no mistaking that Jefferson was the key to even getting there in the first place. And after that season was over, if I went over every accomplishment he got that season, this video would just be too long. So I'm just going to name the most impressive ones. He finished the season with the school record, plus led the country in receptions with 111 receptions for 1,540 yards, which ranked number 3 in school history, and got 18 touchdowns in a season, which ranked number 2 in the school history, only behind Jamar Chase, his own teammate. He placed number 3 in total touchdowns in the whole SEC, which you know is the hardest conference in college football. And what makes this even more impressive is to remember that Jefferson had to play with dudes like Jamar Chase by his side, so he needed to be especially good to even consider getting the ball looked at his way. And when facing talented defenses like Bama, Georgia, Vanderbilt, almost got you there, didn't I? Think fast, For real though, it would take a whole lot of talent to even consider getting the ball looked at your way. But he got plenty of targets, and he used them well to bring his team to the top of the college football world, where they eventually won it all. And in regards to the college football world, he was officially him. But now came the next step, which has broken more first rounders and generational sensations than any other league of football. The NFL. Yes, after Jefferson's junior year, he finally decided to declare for the NFL draft. And it'd be pretty easy to assume why, because he excelled all expectations. Yet somehow, game analyzers put him as more of a complimentary wide receiver, basically meaning that he can't be great without another good or even better wide receiver backing him up. Ridiculous? I know, but that's what they said. And when the draft picks did come, the Philadelphia Eagles, under the brilliant mind of Doug Peterson, decided to pick Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. That's right, you heard me. Justin Jefferson got passed up. But I must say, in terms of long term, it seemed like the decision that worked out for pretty much everyone. Anyways, with that fatal mistake, it affected more than just the Eagles negatively, as the NFC North would be the place that he would call home and begin to wreak havoc. In the first round, 22nd pick, he was selected by the Minnesota Vikings. 2020 was Jefferson's first year in the NFL, and it was safe to say that the Vikings made the right decision with Jefferson. My man was more than just average, or even a little above average. In his first year in the league ever, I would classify him as elite. He in his first year would gather triple digits in 7 games to total around 1,400 yards, which if you don't know is really good. It put him in 4th for the most receiving yards in the NFL that season. My man was sensational. Even though the Vikings did not do the best that season with their record, they did what they do best and looked at their silver lining after yet another failed year. And that was Justin Jefferson, and everyone else knew it too. He made the Pro Bowl, second team All-Pro, and was named Offensive Rookie of the Year, and was only the second rookie in Vikings history to surpass 1,000 yards in their first year, which the only other person to do that was Randy Moss. And even he did not get as much yards as Justin Jefferson. This dog had the skill, recognition, records even, but there was one thing that was missing: style. All the greats have something to make them stand out. Ray Lewis's dance, Aaron Rodgers' belt, Patrick Mahomes' no-look pass, Antonio Brown's nervous mental breakdowns. What was Jefferson's, you ask? Well, I'm sure you already know. His was the gritty. Yes, he did it before college, but now he brought it to the national stage, where everyone watches, and everyone vibed with this dance. It has become quite the sensation. I hate to say it so soon talking about his NFL career, but he already did it. He was already that motherfucker. He was him. But now the question was, can he maintain this production? Yes. My God, yes. He was just a monster. I mean, yes, he led his team in receiving yards again, was an All-Pro, and got to go to the Pro Bowl, and was even ranked 53 in the whole NFL for the NFL's top 100, but that could all just be NFL hype. The real question was, how was his game? His game was just incredible. Teams learned real fast that Jefferson had no intentions on slowing down and got even better than last year. And they learned quickly that the only way to slow him down was that they had to double team him like they do your mother, as this was the only way to get control of him. This dude still got even more yards than he did last year, with 1,616 yards, not to mention 10 touchdowns. His team by far was the only thing keeping him from anything like a Super Bowl, which he was not afraid to show with his frustrations.
On the move, throws high for Jefferson and incomplete.
Man, ain't that a bitch. Kirk getting yelled at by a second-year wide receiver. JJ gives no f***s. My man Jefferson had a great season, but with the team's lack of desired success, means he was hungry. But trust me, he was about to be fed in all aspects of success in the game of football for next year. Jefferson and the Vikings ate good this season. That's why this video exists. But Jefferson in particular, for the Vikings, has shot out of the gates this year. Okay, now with that out of the way, please Get this guy out of my conference. I do not want him here anymore. He is him. Jefferson started off the year making the Packers look like bozos, with nearly 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and he made that the theme of his entire season, with 8 more games after that getting over 100 yards, and even one getting over 200 yards. And now is ranked 17th in the NFL's top 100. He has manhandled anyone and everyone across from him, besides a very select few. You would think after 1,600 yards, that would be a cap, or at least a plateau for a third-year player. But nah, not this man. He went for it all. In just his third year, he not only obtained 1,800 yards, but was going for the NFL's all-time receiving record in a season, which is 1,964 yards. Though at the time of this video it didn't happen, that is crazy that it was even predicted to happen by someone who's only been in the NFL for 3 years. Usually dudes are just getting good by 3 years. And I don't want to hear that he's only good because he's on good teams, because besides high school, this man is what makes his team good. He is often the receiving yards leader, if not touchdown leader for a team. Plus he's usually the spear in any offense he's ever been on. And it shows as he currently leads the Vikings, which mind you for the last 2 seasons were dog water. He is now leading them in touchdowns, receiving yards, and along with Kirk has led the Vikings to one of their most successful seasons that they have had in years. Justin Jefferson seems to be something of a generational wide receiver, and one that is coming for not just the record books, but maybe even a ring. And unlike Calvin Johnson, who currently holds the all-time single-season receiving record, try saying that 5 times fast, this franchise just might be able to take care of Jefferson long enough for us to really see what an amazing wide receiver can do with just a little more time. Though I will never be able to like the Vikings, I can certainly appreciate certain players, and I begrudgingly just cannot seem to dislike this guy. He is an example of an exciting player to watch, the next generation making their mark, and one that you can only help but wonder how far he can push his limits, if he even has one. Why do I not mind rooting for this guy? Because he is him. Hey everybody, thank you all for watching. Next video will be somebody who you all know that I've had a crush on for some time. Anyways, thank you for watching my 6th episode ever. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Go check out my TikTok, Greatest of All Talkers. This is the GOAT. Peace!